right. Some people call them crank right, but certainly the sort of right split from Trump have a real problem with freedom. They have, which is, meant to be the sort of the whole idea of the MAGA America is about sort of, liberty, the sort of American freedom and celebration of all of that. But, look at Carlson's previous comments on, saying that he'd much rather live in Qatar than New York because, in New York, people defecate on the streets and homeless people have sex in ATM vestibules. But in, Saudi Arabia or any of these places, it's wonderful and clean, despite the fact that that's, in large part because there's Sharia law and anyone who does anything a bit naughty from, not just leaving litter or stuff on the streets, but gay people kissing will get locked up and worse.
Gosh, I've been naughty in moderating our discussion because now we've got 5 minutes left for two other stories. Let's do our best. During a heavily promoted live stream on Wednesday, the former Fox News host Tucker Carlson unveiled his 10-point vision for America. During the stream, he also warned that a major shift in the US political landscape is looking increasingly likely.
And the question is, what will that be? And again, we don't know. We know that changes in technology or power shifts globally, all of these facts on the ground are followed by political changes. Political changes follow those changes. They don't incite those changes, right? They're responses to those changes. And so we're getting political changes. They will find political expression. And will it be a third party? Probably. The most radicalizing fact of American politics in the last, century is the confirmation that we got on or about February 28th that the parties on the big issues are identical.
Tucker Carlson there. He's got a 10-point manifesto. Each point is labelled like fair, productive, healthy, optimistic. What do you think's going on here, Freddie? You're our resident US expert.
Well, I think we in Britain, if people know about Tucker Carlson, they have this sort of perception of him as a sort of far right radical and so on. But I'd encourage everybody to actually take an hour and a half, if they have a spare hour and a half, to listen to his monologue, because it's actually an incredible performance. I mean, he is an amazing speaker. He is an extremely talented rhetorician. And he lays out this vision for America that is very compelling. And he has fallen out with Donald Trump. He was friendly with Donald Trump. They fell out of a few things, but particularly Iran. Tucker Carlson was very disappointed about the Iran war, quite depressed by the Iran war, I think. And he has made a lot of his broadcast material is about Israel, and a lot of people accuse him of being an anti-Semite. I don't think he is. I should say I know Tucker, and I like Tucker a lot. I don't think he's an anti-Semite. I think that he is an extremely impressive figure. And I remember Michael Lewis, the American writer, I interviewed him once when Boris Johnson was Prime Minister, and he said, Boris Johnson, there is an American who is just like Boris Johnson, and it's Tucker Carlson. And I thought that was an interesting point, because they're both journalists from quite a privileged background who have this immense charisma and ability to win people over. And I do think people have been asking him if he wants to run for president for a long time. It looks like he's going in that direction.
Yeah, certainly people are
a very compelling candidate.
Yeah, certainly people are encouraging him. His interview with Vladimir Putin still haunts me. I have to say, I didn't love that. He's called education a waste of space. We need room for wisdom instead. Forget about education. How viable is this, Ella?
Well, half of his 10-point plan is kind of almost boringly reasonable, stuff on that, the, sort of teaching kids fact-based things rather than a lot of the sort of crazy ideologically, biased things that go on in American schools at the moment, and huge sort of tense battles around that. So, there's probably a lot of parents from liberal and MAGA sides who would sort of agree on that. And then there's the sort of nutty stuff, the sort of food, the whole idea of sort of big food and sort of and slightly anti-vax stuff. But I think the thing that's most worrying is that the sort of, we call them far right, some people call them crank right, but certainly the sort of right split from Trump have a real problem with freedom. They have, which is, meant to be the sort of the whole idea of the MAGA America is about sort of, liberty, the sort of American freedom and celebration of all of that. But, look at Carlson's previous comments on, saying that he'd much rather live in Qatar than New York because, in New York, people defecate on the streets and homeless people have sex in ATM vestibules. But in, Saudi Arabia or any of these places, it's wonderful and clean, despite the fact that that's, in large part because there's Sharia law and anyone who does anything a bit naughty from, not just leaving litter or stuff on the streets, but gay people kissing will get locked up and worse. So like there's this sort of really, I think, really shallow and quite twisted use and abuse of the sort of the ideal of freedom and that sort of American spirit on the right, which I think Carlson is pretty bad at. I mean, Trump wasn't great, but I think it's sort of the whole a defense of the idea of liberty, which you would think that the right in America would be quite good at in terms of sort of being like hands off me and that whole sort of identity. They're actually not so great at it. So.
I'm hurrying you along a bit because let's just do this to finish off.
Doesn't get any better than this. And look at that beautiful British pint. Hey. Thank God you're here, pal. Hey, those are the rules today. Pint for the fella, glass of white wine, fruit-based drink for the lady. Those are the rules. And if we didn't have rules, where would we be? France. Where would we be? France. If we had too many rules, where would we be? Germany.
The pub landlord there, Al Murray. What's better than standing at a bar waiting to catch a bartender's eye or stepping out onto the pavement for a post-work stand-up drink with friends? Well, Westminster City Council has been accused of trying to put an end to that. The council, which oversees Soho in the West End, recommended banning vertical drinking, so going up to the bar and ordering or standing up and having a drink. It's part of its new draft licensing policy. They want everyone to sit down, sort of French style, I suppose, and order your drinks like you're at a bistro at the table. What do we make of this briefly, both of you? Freddie?
I think vertical drinking is going to become a phrase that people use in a positive way now. I think people are going to start saying, should we go and do some vertical drinking in the pub? And I'm all for it. I'm very pro-vertical drinking. I do prefer sitting down to drink, definitely. I'm not a big one for standing around in the pub all night. I find that quite exhausting. But I mean, it's obviously a silly attempt by the council to stop a very fine British tradition.
Yes. What about horizontal drinking? I mean, we should spend some time on that, shouldn't we, Ella?
That's what you aim for. You begin with vertical and you aim for horizontal. But it's becoming embarrassing being a Londoner now, because if you bring anyone who doesn't live here, from either from abroad or from anywhere else in the country, and you say, let's go for a night out, everywhere that you expect to be buzzing is sort of starting to close or has various sort of rules and regulation on them. Soho is meant to be a place of puke and standing in the street and debauchery.
Drag queens.
And,
it's everything.
meant to be the underbelly of life. That's the excitement of it. It's like got a very proud history of this, and Westminster Council are sort of sinning against that very proud history. But I hate the fact that there's people like Sadiq Khan and others who have in many other ways really dampened London's nightlife, coming in and pretending to be the saviour here. And that is really getting my goat. But okay. I mean, any restrictions on drinking should be up there. And Burnham has planned to sort of defend the pub. This is his moment now. Get out and squash Westminster Council.
Yes, he needs to get vertical, doesn't he? And start demanding a change. Thank you, both of you. Ella Whelan and Freddie Gray, great to hear from you. It's Kait Borsay. It's the evening edition on Times Radio. Coming up next, Dr. Marcel Dersas, the political scientist. He's the author of How Tyrants Fall and How Nations Survive. We'll discuss dictators, dictatorships,